Getting women into the labour force remains India's biggest challenge on the employment front. The labour force participation rate for women is less than 11% compared to 71% for men, and yet they face a much higher unemployment rate, and this is disconcerting because it suggests a bias. Now, data from CMI shows that women accounted for 10.7% of the total workforce in 2019-20, but they suffered almost 14% of the total job losses in the first month of the lockdown. By November 2020, men had recovered most of their lost jobs, but women were not so fortunate. The recovery has benefited all, but it benefited women less than it did men. And it's the same story across the globe, where employment loss for women in 2020 because of the pandemic was at 5% compared to 3.9% for men. In absolute terms, the job losses were larger for men because of the gender gap in the labour force participation rate. Now, there is a strong, unquestionable economic as well as humanitarian case for promoting women entrepreneurs. A recent report found that only 7 out of 100 entrepreneurs in India are women, and almost half of them say they got in the business out of necessity rather than aspiration. Today, women run only 8 of the 63 million MSMEs in India, that too largely in the micro business, which again has been the worst impacted. One of the biggest challenges for women in business has been access to finance. An IFC report shows that over 70% of the total finance requirement of women entrepreneurs in the country remains unmet. Lack of collateral is a challenge. The problem also arises because most women-owned MSMEs are unregistered, so they cannot access formal finance. Now, picture this: in 2020, only 6.5% of funding raised among the top 150 funded startups in India went to women-funded startups. India, however, does fare better than its Asian counterparts when it comes to women in executive positions. Women holding board positions has actually doubled between 2012 and 2020, but it remains abysmally low. HDFC Life Insurance is actually the only Nifty 50 company with a woman CEO at the helm. But let me leave you with how India fares compared to the rest of the world. According to the World Economic Forum, India ranked 112 out of 159 countries in the Global Gender Gap Index report. And at this rate, the report said, closing the gender gap could take nearly 100 years.